I think the most pressing issue for most people now, particularly in this area, is roads, infrastructure in the Northeast. You know, and I've been here over the 10 years. We've seen it grow tremendously. And, you know, one of the first things I did when I came in here as pastor, we did, you know, demographic studies projected out to 2016 and 2020, which helped us plan for, you know, our growth, right? So I think we've had development, but the roads and infrastructure were not ahead of that curve. I think the school district has done a pretty good job of trying to catch up and keep up with the curve. But I think, you know, in the other areas of services, particularly, you know, as mentioned, I think so not only do we have to repair roads, not only do we have to make things more accessible, but I think we also have to find a sustainable revenue source to continue upgrading them on a schedule. I think that would, from what I've discerned and picked up from people, that would be priority number one. And I do think that's some low-hanging fruit. I do think that's something that we can get done relatively quickly because I think it's nonpartisan. I think it's a very logical, sensible conversation. It's just a matter of doing the hard work and research and finding out where it's best. I have some ideas. I won't necessarily go into the details of ideas that I have because I'm from the outside looking in. I'd much rather take what ideas I have now, share them, get more information from the inside, and have, you know, a much better perspective on it. The second thing I think would be healthcare. You know, there's a tremendous healthcare gap, and, you know, once again, in building a strong community, a lot of things always go back to finances and economics. And so, you know, healthcare bills and illnesses bankrupt families and put them in dire financial straits faster than anything else. And having that huge of a healthcare gap becomes an issue. So I think there are some simple things that we can do on the healthcare side, not even just to mention the most logical thing, which is preventative, putting a lot more energy and money towards preventative measures. But even in just simple the expanding of, just what would be, I think, political pressure and common sense conversations talking about just expanding our health care, which is just a stroke of the pen, really, to get federal dollars, would be the next thing. And the third and final thing, which is also related to the health care issue, is education. I think as a representative, you would not just simply be a representative for this area. It's two-pronged, kind of like an hourglass. You would be a representative for the people who have voted for you, but you also would be a representative to represent the interests of the state as a whole. And there are some corridors, there are some areas in our state that are in dire needs of expanding their funding. It really becomes a cycle of poverty if persons do not have the opportunities that can be afforded them by better education. How then do we expect people to come back and empower and enrich their community economically if, educationally they're behind or don't have adequate resources?